3/4 of the US population are severely deprived of the critical nutrients that we need to fight disease, starting from the cellular level. And according to the Center for Disease Control, only 27% of Americans get just 3 servings of vegetables a day, when we're supposed to actually have a minimum of 5. Now, in order to make up that difference, at Neolife Nutrition, we really stress juicing, and particularly vegetable juicing. Now, juicing is something that you can do to get the most nutrition out of your dollar, and it's a really effective tool, a technology that you can use to get a lot of nutrients out of something that we just don't consume on a regular basis. So whether you are someone that has very little time or just wants to make the most out of each meal, and you want to get more vegetables in your diet, and the bottom line is that everyone needs to do this if we want to start making some headway against chronic and diet-related diseases. Today we just want to show you essentially how to be an effective juicer. And this is 3 steps to be an effective juicer simply. Number 1 is you want to prepare the fresh fruits and vegetables correctly. So that includes peeling, washing, and prepping them. And the second thing is that you want to just run them through the juicer. Really simple step. That's the fun part. The third part, which is most people don't like, is actually cleaning the juicer. But we have a really effective method for doing that to get you in a positive light in juicing, rather than coming back around to it and having a dirty juicer or just not wanting to deal with that part. And in the end, you can really make a good juice on a daily basis in under 10 minutes, including cleaning your juicer. And compared to what it would take to make a really good whole food healthy meal, juicing is really efficient. So the first thing that's going to be going into our juice today is actually a fruit. It's an apple. So even though we stress vegetable juicing, apples are your ideal go-to fruit to put with any vegetable blend in order to make it taste really good. Today we picked a green apple, a Granny Smith apple, even though they're not necessarily in season. Green apples are the healthiest ones of the apples that you can get regularly, because they're more tart. So they're going to have a little bit less sugar, and they've got a little bit more flavonoids in them to fight cancer and things like that. They're going to complement your juice really well. So I just have 1 apple to put in my juice today. The next thing that I'm going to have is Swiss chard. Swiss chard has a really high nutrient density index score, not as high as kale, but it's really awesome for juicing because Swiss chard actually has a thick stalk, so it actually produces a lot of liquid. So I have some rainbow chard here today as well, some red chard and some Swiss chard, which is basically like giant spinach. And so we're going to get some really good greens into our juice today. I also have here a cucumber. Cucumbers are so awesome to juice because they produce a ton of liquid. And they're really good for alkalizing your body to help deal with water retention, so they get rid of fat. They give you a lot of energy just to hydrate you, and they really satisfy you too. We recommend juicing cucumbers during the morning as they cause you to have to go to the bathroom a lot at first, but they're really just going to flush a lot of toxins out of your body, and they're pretty cheap. And so I got a local cucumber that was in season right now for about 30 cents, and so that's really going to be great in my juice. It's really cost effective. The last thing I have is a carrot. A carrot's a root vegetable, so it has indigestible fiber, and we talked a bit about this in some of our other videos, how carrots it's actually way more beneficial to juice them than it is to actually eat them, to get way more nutrients out of them. And what's going to be in carrots again is a carotenoid known as beta-carotene specifically. It's a whole food source to help fight cancer and just destroy it. And so we're going to go ahead and run these things through the juicer, and you'll see how quick the process is. So you really want to make the cleanup process as easy as possible, and you want to do the cleanup as quickly as possible to prevent all of these things in there from drying out and staining your juicer and just kind of making you mad the next time you go to actually use your juicer and having a bad experience with it. This juicer here disassembles really easily. It's one of the reasons why we really like it, because it's an easy centrifugal force juicer to clean and to put together again. And so I'm going to first take the plunger off here. That's a really simple part to rinse off. And then I'm going to take the top off here, and then I'm going to scrape the excess pulp here that's kind of stuck up in here into the basket. And then I'm going to kind of put this in the sink here. All I'm going to do is lift this bottom part off here and put this in the sink as well. And then you'll notice that I put actually a little produce bag that I got some of my store-bought produce from into the juicer here. Now this is ideal to keep the pulp from stinking up in the trash when you throw that in the trash can, and just to prevent a little bit more of a mess. And so this is a really simple way that you can keep it nice and clean. If you want to just let it all go into the pulp catcher, this obviously rinses out just as easy as everything else, and you can actually compost your pulp, which is what I like to do with a lot of my pulp. I have 3 different parts here that disassemble that I have to clean. They're all pretty easy. You just kind of have to rinse them off. Just make sure there's no extra pulp sitting around in there. If I want, I can take my little toothbrush that I have here that I use for cleaning my juicer. Just kind of get the little nooks and crannies. Get this little section right here. But I don't really have to do that every time because the water gets it out just fine. Set that in the sink to dry. You'll notice most of the pulp is all in the pulp catcher, so it's not going to clog my sink up anything. And there's not a whole lot of waste here. So now this part is all clean. I'm going to set this here. Now the real only technical part to clean is actually the mesh basket here. So I put a little squirt of the green, which is the same cleaner that I actually use to clean my fruits and vegetables. It's totally eco-friendly. And it's really actually good for you. And then the green has protein enzymes in it, which are going to break down some of those other compounds that would actually stain this. And so I just take my little toothbrush here. If you have a bigger brush, that's a little bit more ideal. But I'm just going to basically scrub the mesh part of this really easily like that to get the pulp that is kind of lodged in there out, and just around the edges here, around the blade of the brush. This is the part of your juicer that you want to take the most care of, because this is what does all the work, extracting the nutrients and separating those from the fiber. But it's really actually pretty simple. I've kind of gotten along all the edges here, and you really want to take care of this metal, this mesh part right here, and to not just to take really good care of that, so you can make it last as long as possible. Then all I do is rinse this out, kind of get all that stuff off there that I just rinsed. And that's all nice and clean. I have my little handy dandy toothbrush here, that's good. I'm just going to rinse out my sink. And there's a little bit in the garbage as well. My juicer's clean, my stuff's in the sink, it's air drying, it'll be ready to put back together in just a couple hours. And as you can see, that process actually only took me like not even 2 minutes. And I even had just a toothbrush to clean it with. You could use a little bit bigger scrub brush, that's what I prefer. Now I'm ready to enjoy the fruit of my labor. And like I said, it wasn't really that much labor, and I'm getting a lot of fruit. Even though it's only 1 apple, I'm getting a lot of nutrients from the vegetables that I put in. So I have more than 3 daily servings of vegetables right here and these 2 glasses of juice. And this is actually a lot of juice right here that it produced. And so, again, this is just a simple green juice made with some vegetables that I bought at the farmer's market. And as you can see, being a juicer is really efficient, and it's really quick if you just apply it as like a daily discipline, or just on a semi-regular basis when you want to get a little bit more vegetables in your diet. And so for Neo Life Nutrition, I'm Cameron Weedle, and this is juicing session number 2.